When you think of the electric vehicle revolution, one name instantly dominates the conversation: Elon Musk. He is the brilliant visionary who dragged the automotive industry into the future. But there is a massive piece of financial history that the mainstream media completely ignores. The brutal truth is that Elon Musk was beaten to the punch, and he was beaten by the absolute last person on Earth you would expect: Warren Buffett. Think about that for a second. Warren Buffett is the ultimate traditional capitalist. He famously avoided technology stocks for decades because he simply did not understand them. Yet 10 years before the world took Tesla seriously, Buffett quietly executed a masterstroke that secured him a staggering 3,000% return on the future of electric vehicles. How did an aging investor who barely uses a computer outsmart the greatest tech mind of our generation? He did not invent a better battery or build a sleeker car. Instead, he used a hidden psychological cheat code, a strategy of intellectual leverage that anyone can learn, but almost no one actually uses. Welcome to the untold story of Warren Buffett and how Buffett beat Musk to the future. This is FinDocs, a financial documentary channel featuring real-world lessons. To understand the magnitude of this move, you have to transport yourself back to the financial ice age of 2008. The global economy was collapsing. Lehman Brothers evaporated overnight. Panic gripped Wall Street, and the absolute last thing on any rational investor's mind was throwing capital into a speculative emerging technology halfway across the globe. Cash was the ultimate king. Survival was the only metric that mattered. During this bloodbath, the entire concept of electric vehicles was viewed as a financial death trap. Detroit giants were fighting bankruptcy, and the idea of mass-producing battery-powered cars was treated as a futuristic fantasy reserved for eccentric billionaires willing to burn money. Right in the middle of this catastrophic meltdown, a legendary but secretive hedge fund manager named Li Lu walked into the office of Charlie Munger. Munger is the ruthless intellectual filter of Berkshire Hathaway and Warren Buffett's right-hand man. Li Lu did not pitch a safe, defensive American blue-chip stock. Instead, he brought forward a dossier on a company called Build Your Dreams, or BYD. At the time, BYD was an obscure, low-cost mobile phone battery manufacturer based in Shenzhen, China. They had just begun dabbling in the automotive industry by clumsily copying the designs of old Japanese sedans. Pitching a Chinese battery maker that builds cheap knockoff cars to the greatest value investors in the world during the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression sounded like absolute career suicide. But this is where the mainstream media narrative completely misses the point. When journalists cover this historic deal, they usually claim Buffett and Munger simply saw the electric vehicle trend coming. That is entirely false. Institutional wealth does not gamble on shiny consumer trends. They invest in the inescapable bottlenecks of an industry. BYD was not fundamentally a car company. It was a hardcore chemical engineering operation holding the ultimate trump card: the battery. Munger realized a brutal truth about the upcoming revolution. It simply did not matter whether Ford, General Motors, or some struggling startup named Tesla ultimately won the war for the best-looking electric car. No matter who conquered the consumer market, every single manufacturer would eventually need to secure millions of high-capacity batteries. The battery was the oxygen of the future automotive ecosystem. The smart money does not place a blind bet on a specific horse to win the race. The smart money buys the entire racetrack and sets up a mandatory toll booth. Munger knew that whoever controlled the battery supply chain would essentially hold the entire global electric vehicle industry hostage. And BYD was perfectly positioned to become the largest, most lucrative toll booth on the planet. To build the ultimate toll booth, you need a ruthless architect. The mainstream media is endlessly fascinated by charismatic CEOs who dominate the news cycle and make grandiose promises about colonizing other planets. But institutional capital operates on an entirely different frequency. They do not care about charisma. They care about execution. Enter Wang Chuanfu, the founder of Build Your Dreams. Wang was the exact antithesis of the Silicon Valley archetype. He was not an elite software engineer from Stanford. He was an orphaned farm boy turned hardcore chemist who built his early battery empire by meticulously reverse engineering Japanese technology. He did not spend his time giving speeches or broadcasting to millions of followers. He spent his time on the factory floor, obsessing over the molecular structure of lithium iron phosphate. There is a legendary story that perfectly encapsulates the terrifying conviction of Wang Chuanfu. During a meeting with investors who were questioning the environmental safety of his early battery technology, Wang did not offer them a beautifully designed presentation. Instead, he reportedly poured a glass of the toxic-looking battery fluid and drank it right in front of them. He did not just believe in his product. He was willing to risk his own physical health to prove its superiority. That is not the behavior of a dreamer. That is the behavior of an apex predator in the manufacturing jungle. When Li Lu brought this obscure Chinese chemist to the attention of Charlie Munger, the reaction was unprecedented. Munger is famously cynical. He has spent decades shooting down thousands of investment pitches from the smartest graduates in finance. But after studying Wang Chuanfu, Munger made a statement that would change the course of Berkshire Hathaway history. He told Warren Buffett that Wang was a combination of Thomas Edison and Jack Welch. Let that sink in for a moment. Thomas Edison represents the ultimate technical genius, capable of solving impossible engineering bottlenecks. Jack Welch, the legendary executive of General Electric, represents the ultimate corporate enforcer, capable of ruthlessly optimizing costs and driving immense profitability. Finding a founder with just one of those traits is incredibly rare. Finding a founder with both is like discovering a unicorn in the heavy machinery sector. This brings us to a crucial psychological blind spot that traps the vast majority of retail investors. We are conditioned to fall in love with the visionary. The visionary sells us a beautiful dream of a clean, utopian future, and their stock price skyrockets on pure emotion. But seasoned capitalists like Buffett and Munger know a dark secret about the business world. A grand vision is ultimately just an idea, and ideas are cheap. You can always hire visionaries, you can always buy patents, but what you cannot buy is the cold-blooded capacity to build an integrated supply chain from scratch while squeezing every single penny out of the production cost. They do not invest in the dream, they invest in the grinder. Wall Street was completely mesmerized by Elon Musk and his mission to save humanity. Meanwhile, the smartest money in the room was quietly placing a massive bet on a quiet chemist who was busy acquiring lithium mines and building out the foundational infrastructure of the upcoming revolution. Buffett and Munger were not placing a bet on a magical technological miracle. They were placing a bet on a relentless human machine. Even though Wang Chuanfu was building an industrial juggernaut halfway across the globe, getting Warren Buffett to actually sign a check was an entirely different battle. Buffett is notoriously disciplined. He operates by a strict philosophy known as the circle of competence. The rule is incredibly simple, but brutally hard to follow. If you do not completely understand how a business operates and makes money, you do not invest. Period. A complex chemical engineering company operating in the Chinese manufacturing sector was not just outside the circle of competence of Warren Buffett. It was in a different universe. He did not know the first thing about battery chemistry, international supply chains, or the emerging electric vehicle market. So his initial reaction was exactly what you would expect. He said, no. But then something historic happened. Charlie Munger, a man known for being even more conservative and skeptical than Buffett, refused to let the opportunity die. Munger did something he had almost never done in their decades of working together. He actively pressured Buffett. Munger picked up the phone and delivered an ultimatum. He told Buffett that this was the most important investment opportunity he had ever seen. He famously said that if you do not buy this company, you will miss the opportunity of a lifetime, and you will regret it for the rest of your life. Buffett still hesitated. He was being asked to violate his most sacred investing principle. Munger called him again, and then a third time. Finally, the resistance broke. Buffett capitulated. Berkshire Hathaway authorized a massive purchase, securing a nearly 10% stake in Build Your Dreams for roughly $232 million. Why did this happen? Why did the most disciplined value investor in modern financial history blindly throw hundreds of millions of dollars at an industry he openly admitted he knew absolutely nothing about? The answer to that question reveals the ultimate cheat code of the wealthy elite. It is a profound psychological framework known as epistemic humility. The vast majority of amateur investors are trapped by their own ego. They mistakenly believe that to be wealthy, you must personally research every trend. You have to read every earnings report, understand every technological breakthrough, and ultimately be the smartest person in the room. This ego-driven approach is a massive vulnerability. It forces amateurs to make wild guesses about complex industries they do not truly understand. They overestimate their own intelligence and severely underestimate the sheer complexity of the global economy. Warren Buffett operates on the exact opposite principle. His ultimate superpower is not reading balance sheets. His superpower is the absolute unflinching willingness to admit his own ignorance. Buffett knew he was completely blind when it came to engineering and technology, but he also knew something infinitely more valuable. He knew the exact caliber of the mind of Charlie Munger. Buffett had spent over 40 years rigorously stress testing the judgment of Munger. Munger served as an irreplaceable, bulletproof intellectual filter. This is the secret of intellectual leverage. When you find a mentor, a partner, or an advisor whose analytical ability and moral integrity you trust without a single shadow of a doubt, the game changes entirely. You no longer need to analyze the asset yourself. You analyze the mentor. You invest in their conviction. You do not need to be a genius in every single field to generate extraordinary wealth. The modern world is simply too vast and complicated for one human brain to process alone. The true apex predators of capitalism do not try to learn everything. Instead, they build a highly curated network of trusted filters. They find the most brilliant minds in specific domains. They verify their judgment over decades, and then they ruthlessly borrow their conviction when the time comes to strike. Buffett did not buy BYD because he suddenly had a revelation about the future of electric vehicles. He bought BYD because he understood Charlie Munger. By outsourcing his conviction to a superior technological mind, Buffett effectively hacked his own limitations. He bypassed his own lack of knowledge and tapped directly into the genius of his mentor. This level of extreme trust, combined with total ego suppression, is a financial superpower that no algorithm, no trading bot, and no business school can ever replicate. Borrowing the conviction of a genius is a brilliant strategy, but pulling the trigger and buying the asset is only the first step. What followed the initial investment in 2008 was not an immediate, glorious victory. It was a 14-year psychological torture chamber. This is the valley of death, where almost every retail investor gets slaughtered. We have been sold a dangerous fantasy by modern media. The fantasy that massive wealth is generated quickly through rapid trading and timing the market perfectly. The reality of true wealth creation is violently painful. In the years following their massive purchase, BYD did not smoothly ascend to global dominance. Instead, it entered a brutal period of extreme volatility. The electric vehicle revolution took much longer to materialize than anyone anticipated. BYD faced intense domestic competition and horrific business cycles. Their traditional vehicle sales plunged. Profit margins collapsed. At various points, the stock price plummeted, losing massive amounts of its value. The mainstream financial media smelled blood in the water. Analysts went on television to mock the investment. Financial journalists wrote countless articles declaring that Warren Buffett had finally lost his touch. They framed the BYD deal as the foolish mistake of an aging billionaire who broke his own rules to gamble on an illusion. Imagine the psychological pressure. Imagine watching hundreds of millions of dollars evaporate from your portfolio while the entire financial world publicly laughs at your decision. A normal investor, driven by ego and fear, would have panicked. They would have sold the stock to stop the bleeding and save their reputation. So what exactly did Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger do as their investment faced these violent storms? Absolutely nothing. They sat in total silence. They did not issue press releases defending their position. They did not panic sell a single share for more than a decade. This exposes the final, brutal truth about financial dominance. The crowd trades on daily headlines, quarterly earnings, and raw emotion. The apex predators trade on decades. The difference between making a 100% return and a 3,000% return is almost never about picking a better entry price. It is about the terrifying capacity to endure pain. It is the ability to watch your asset get absolutely decimated, look the panic directly in the eye, and refuse to push the sell button. In the hyperactive world of modern finance, absolute stillness is the most ruthless weapon of all. That total silence eventually shattered the global market. Fast forward to the present day, and the landscape of the automotive industry has been completely redrawn. The company that Wall Street laughed at, Build Your Dreams, officially surpassed Tesla to become the largest electric vehicle manufacturer on the planet. That original $232 million investment swelled to a staggering valuation of nearly $9 billion before Berkshire Hathaway began cashing out. A breathtaking 3,000% return. Elon Musk undoubtedly built incredible vehicles and dragged humanity into a new era. But Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger extracted a massive fortune from that exact same revolution without tightening a single bolt or writing a single line of software code. This is the ultimate law of wealth creation. The future does not only belong to the loud visionaries who invent it, it belongs to the disciplined strategists who have the humility to listen to a brilliant mentor, the sharpness to recognize a cold-blooded executor, and the iron stomach to sit in total silence while the rest of the world panics. You do not have to be Elon Musk to win the game of capitalism. You just need to build a bulletproof filter for the truth. If you want to continue uncovering the hidden mechanics of global finance, you are in the right place, here at FinDocs. Make sure to hit that hype button below right now so we can push this knowledge to other ambitious truth seekers just like you. Keep building your discipline, and I will see you in the next breakdown.